getting acclimated now. They're learning the
Karl Malone may be the mailman, but I'm the UPS man right now. I'm bringing the big packages.
Welcome to Court Cousins. Two cousins sharing laughs and talking the NBA team they love, the Orlando Magic. Let's get into it. Welcome everybody to episode 17 of Court Cousins. My name is Kyle. I'm joined as always by my cousin, my co-host, Jason the Pich. We've got a wonderful episode for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we always check in with each other for our Robin Lopez Rolo Check In. We'll scour the interwebs for your posts about our beloved Orlando Magic in the social media roundup. We're going to be doing some interviews in guest conference. We'll give a final report card for all the players this year. We'll put a wrap on this season's Court Cousins Championship, but ladies and gentlemen, there are still more wagers to be had because Pich and I will be putting some hair on the line for our playoff brackets. Before any of that fun and games, though, Pich, we get to hang out a lot, but I want to know, sir, how are you doing today for the Rolo Check-In?
Well, I'm excited to begin with because there's a lot of meat on the show today because we not only are wearing our short shorts here.
We're showing a lot of meat right here.
My God. This is the first time, by the way, ever, before I get to the check-in, that I've ever worn the full entire Orlando. Let me just get up for a second.
Oh, give it to the camera.
The original.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
First time because yesterday was the
sexy.
first time I ever put these white shorts on. So today I've combined the whole outfit, and a 10 or an 11-year-old me is just giddy right now that I own this and have it.
That's surprising because you're a uniform guy.
Yes, but a 10 or 11-year-old me would fit better in this.
Slender.
So for my check-in, I've selected this picture of Rolo shaking hands with Coach Mosley because this was me this week. I started a new job, and I've had to meet a lot of people, a lot of people's names who I've already forgotten. I've only been there for 3 days, but it's going well so far, and I'm sure I will continue to do a lot of this handshaking as I go and a lot of meeting. And it is nice. I've started a few jobs during the pandemic. It is nice to be back starting a job where I actually get to shake hands and actually get to see a person's whole face instead of just seeing the upper third.
Yep.
So it will make it a little easier to meet people from now on. So I had to go with the handshake here and meet up because that's what I've been doing this week is a lot of get to know you type of stuff. But it's going well.
Shaking babies, kissing hands, or
how you feel? I'm not
is that
kissing,
how it goes?
No, definitely not kissing any babies at the job. Just want to make that clear.
All right. So for me, Pich, I've got a Robin Lopez decked out in Seattle Mariners gear. I'm not sure if that's his squad. I know the brothers are from California, or if he was just kind of there and being a jovial guy. I feel like Rolo's the type of guy where he goes to a game and he'll don some gear. It might not be his squad, but he's going to get with the home crowd.
I do that as well. I feel like, I agree.
There's no harm in that.
If they're not playing against your team, root for the home team.
There it is. It is. Yeah. So, I'm feeling jovial. It's the springtime, really, is why I selected this one. Baseball season is starting. Don't really care much about that, but it's just the spring is in the air. The flowers are blooming. The forsythia is that golden, beautiful yellow. I wore shorts yesterday and chancletas, so I'm ready to go for spring. I've just got that spring in my step, and so I've got the Robin Lopez in the baseball uni.
Chancletas is flip-flops, correct?
Sí, señor. Muy bueno.
I had empanadas for lunch yesterday.
So you're pretty much a Spaniard now?
Starting to learn
Pretty much
things.
Hispanic. Okay, got it.
The diversity here in Bridgeport is amazing.
It is. One of the best places in the world. All right, so now from the diversity of Bridgeport to the diversity of our beautiful fan base, we interrupt this regularly scheduled broadcast to bring you this important news. After this announcement, Kyle's audio is going to get jacked up. He keeps touching his microphone and has a crappy XLR cable. If you would like to forego this inconvenience, you may fast forward to 18 minutes and 45 seconds. If you don't care about the audio, then keep on listening. Thanks and have a great day. We're going into social media roundup, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we scour the interwebs for your posts about our beloved Orlando Magic. And we're just starting off with a little bit of a love fest, a little bit of a gush fest here. We've got a couple posts. The first one is from the Six Man Show. for all those grinding Magic content. We made it, y'all. Let's run it back. And they're shouting out Kobe Price, who does a great job with the Orlando Sentinel. Of course, Orlando Magic Daily, Orlando Magic UK, Close Up Magic, Mavs Draft, Court Cousins. That's us, Pich. That's us. I had to shed a tear when I saw us on this shout out. Ozone Pod, Papa Giorgio, and Not Another Magic Pod. So just like pretty much shouting out the Magic podcasting media community. And for me to see our name there is kind of like almost a little bit of an achievement of a lifelong goal of sorts.
Okay.
I mean, from the time that we sat down when I visited you a couple of years ago now in Boston, it feels like maybe a year and a half ago, to me being like, damn, man, I'm loving the Magic. I wish I could use my English degree to like write some articles or do something and just get involved with the community.
Yep.
Just get some press passes at some point. I think that would be the coolest thing ever. And now here we are, a couple of years later, sitting in the fan attic on a shout out from the Sixth Man in the Ozone HQ podcast.
Yeah, well, you got to ring a bell for the hustle plays. These guys were here before us. They laid the groundwork. And we were all in this together. You know what I mean? I think that's what's nice. Sometimes you'd see people who are doing kind of the same thing and they get a little competitive. But so far, the Magic community has been all very kind of embracing, which has been very nice. We all like the same thing. We're all out for the same stuff. We all present in a little bit of a different way. You know, there's something here for everybody. And as I've seen so many times, if you love us at 22 and 60, this group right here, we get to hold the trophy first when we go 60 and 22. So, like, these are the guys that you know are real fans and can keep you people up to date. And everyone we know at least knows a little bit more about the Magic than people who don't know us. So we got that going for us. And good job to everybody. Way to stick with the team, even in these tough times.
Yeah, and special shout out and thanks to Six Man and the Ozone Pod. Those guys in particular have reached out and just been really supportive and helpful. So thank you for doing what you do, and we're just happy to be here, be a part of it.
Absolutely.
All right, so Pich, the next one here, I'm going to let you talk about, because we didn't actually talk about this social media roundup, and I'm realizing now as I'm going through it that we did not show prep this part.
Yeah!
So it's off the top of the dome, ladies.
I like it when we do this.
Get some unadulterated content here. What's going on with this post, Pich?
What's happening here is Schofield is arguing with B.J. Washington and the other Charlotte Hornets from that scuffle they had towards the end of that game, which got a little out of hand. But you could see the passion from Admiral. Like, he was only not knocking a guy out because of the fine that was going to come. Otherwise, I feel like he was capable of laying down every human being on that court, which was kind of fun to see. Yeah. But it was good. I mean, you can tell this is part of that, like, whole, man, is our team a team. We're going to talk about this a lot today, so I'm not going to go too heavy on it right now, but this is another one of those moments where, like, here is a deep bench guy that I think everyone else on this team would have pushed aside to punch in front of him. Like, they're a squad and they're together. And so when you see that coming from the bottom of your bench, that kind of tells you how together this team actually is.
Yeah, like someone else on the roster, like, man, I can eat this fine a little bit more than you. Let me take this one for the team. That's a gentlemanly thing to do.
Yeah, or at least standing right beside him in a battle. Like, obviously the whole team can't come out onto the court because of the NBA rules, even though they may have tried. But there's that mentality is there, and that's what's important.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. You think is Admiral going to be on the squad next year? What's the deal? He's on a two-way this year. You think he comes back?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's definitely going to have a shot at it. He's definitely had a lot of hustle. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about
a little bit more later.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. I wouldn't be the kind of guy that's going to sit here and say who's going to be on the team and who's not, because I don't know who's going to be coming in.
Well, that's what it comes down to, the draft pick,
and how it's
right?
going to shake out. So
I think if it shakes out the way we want, unfortunately, he may be on the road somewhere else, because if we get a 3-4 or 4-5 kind of guy,
roster's only so big.
Right.
We like the whole team. Yeah. Something we like's going to have to go.
Right. Sad to see it go. All right, this next one, man.
Oh, stuff I don't like.
Yeah, here we go. Mario, get ready for all the heat, bro. It's coming your way. And you brought this on yourself. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a couple posts. The first one we'll talk about is from NBA Central posting Mario Hezonja's quote taken from an article that he did in, I don't know, Mother Russia, this damn communist.
I think it was Eurohoopsnet.
Yeah, Eurohoopsnet. I'm not going to return to the NBA. I didn't get the respect I deserved. Also, in my opinion, I don't know why I'm making him French, the NBA is more of a show than a game itself.
I mean, I get his point of it being a show because obviously they let guys break a lot of rules like carrying and, stars get foul calls and some of that kind of stuff. There is a little bit of that in there. Sure. But at the end of the day, it's basketball.
Yeah.
And you go out there and you play. And if you're good, you excel and you get starter minutes and you play well and your team does well. And if you're not good, then you work your way to the end of the bench. You don't get minutes. And then eventually you work your way back to a European League. So... that's science. If he was nice and he had those all-star qualities, no matter what problems you bring to the team, you're going to find a spot. See Kyrie Irving, see Jonathan Isaac. Like, if you've got nice game, no matter how weird you are off the court, they will find a place for you. Same holds true in most sports at this point.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. It's crazy that this became a news story because he just wasn't ever really relevant. He was only relevant to us Magic fans for a blip on the radar.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, I got giddy over seeing him and Aaron Gordon together in Summer League throwing alley-oops to each other. Mm-hmm. I had these ideations that Mario Hezonja was going to be kind of that 6'9" ball handler that almost in like the mold of like a LeBron James, dare I say. Like just a big guy who could handle the rock, make things happen off the dribble, was bouncy, could add a shot and like be very dangerous player.
Right.
Kind of like maybe Luka is right now. Like I thought he could be that type of guy. And boy, was I wrong. And such a precipitous fall. I mean, the guy never looked like he looked disinterested.
Right.
And maybe it just like the American culture just kind of rubbed him the wrong way. I don't know what it was. Maybe he'd never seen a black person before. Like, I don't really understand why he didn't, like, I mean, like, he just didn't fit at all. He never seemed like he fit at all.
Let's not minimize culture shock.
Right.
I've moved around a lot in this country
yes.
and had some culture shock. So moving countries, all right. Just because we've seen lots of other guys do it successfully doesn't make it not tough.
Yeah.
That could have been a factor for him, and probably his best years were kind of wasted sitting here in the NBA. So I get that he's salty.
Right.
But is it necessary to pour that salt out now? Like, this is a conversation you could have had when you left to go back to the Euro League instead of having it after you've comfortably established yourself back in the Euro League. That seems unnecessary. I think it kind of comes up in the Magic community because we don't got a lot much else going on right now. And it's kind of, hey, man, we wasted a high pick on you. I didn't think his ceiling was as high as you thought. I thought he could be Hedo Turkoglu, but he's one of my favorite Magic players of all time. That would have been amazing if he was. I felt like he had like a little better of a shot than Hedo. So I was like, wow, if he's got those skill sets and he can do this, that's going to be great. And just never, he looked a little bit lost out there, like he didn't know what was going on. Maybe there was a language barrier. I'm not sure if he understood the plays. And maybe our coaching wasn't the best at the time, to be honest. It's not like it's necessarily all his fault. But like I said, if you're that talented, it shows through no matter what's going on.
Yeah, and I think Jeff Weltgod, the steady in the social media roundup, had a post here on Instagram.
I'm going to give a bell to Weltgod.
Yeah, you deserve a bell, Weltgod. Well done this season, sir. Thank you for everything.
Hustle place.
He kind of maybe had that same sentiment that I had at this time. There's a picture of AG, Victor Oladipo, Elfrid Payton, and Mario Hezonja at the All-Star weekend. Hezonja was on the world team as like a rookie or sophomore player. And Weltgod said, not one, not two, not three, but 0 rings from this Orlando Magic dynasty. And that's kind of, I felt like that was a good core. I really thought that there was a shot there. And to your point, maybe a lot of it did come down to coaching. I know that Victor Oladipo's done some interviews where he said the roles were just never clearly defined and everyone was kind of just trying to be the guy, but no one really had the roles. So, that kind of Jacques Vaughn era was definitely lacking some vision and some guidance. So maybe it's not all in these guys.
No, maybe not. I mean, they've all had decent careers except for Mario really elsewhere. I mean, decent. But I think, I thought Peyton and Oladipo were going to take us to the future. And I didn't know what Mario was bringing. I've never been a big AG fan, but I figured at least him with these guys, maybe he would win me over by becoming the star or something like that. But like, it did kind of feel like that was an era where it was like, okay, the main star of the team is up for grabs. Someone grab it.
Right.
And it kind of fell to Aaron Gordon. And it was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it just got broken up too early, unfortunately.
And we didn't really even get a lot of good things back for them.
Well,
honestly.
that was
So it's not like we turned this and we ripped off some other team or like even got an equal trade. We kind of got worked on a lot of these trades, except for probably the Aaron Gordon one.
Right. Well, that was fantastic. We didn't get much of anything for Elfrid, but sending Victor Oladipo out of town for Serge Ibaka, and we sent Domantas Sabonis out of town.
I mean, we sent those guys out of town like they had a disease.
I know.
We're like, what do you got over there? Serge Ibaka? Sure.
Yeah.
It's
ooh. That was bad. I mean, Rob Hennigan was coming from the Sam Presti. He's in Oklahoma City, the GM there.
Yep.
He was under his tutelage, so they had a good relationship, and that connection. I think Rob Hennigan in the last year of his contract felt the pressure. He didn't have that same confidence from the ownership that the current front office has, as they got extensions after they made some pretty monumental moves last year, showing that confidence. But he didn't have that, and he's like, oh, man, I need to swing for the fences. And I hate when I see general managers in those positions where they feel like their back's to the wall and they have to make a slam dunk move, and that just makes me so uneasy, and it did not work out for us.
It doesn't make me uneasy if we're the ones taking something from somebody who's trying to make that swing.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You don't want to be on the raw end of that deal because it's going to happen.
And there is the Sacramento Kings. Okay. Sorry. I don't know why I did that. The Kings are another franchise that just knows
it's a nice spring day. We're feeling the love. We're under this tree where there's all the shade unnecessarily.
All right. The next one is from @thelando _. And they write, Orlando is 33-35 when Markelle Fultz is a starter.
35-35.
35-35, 500 when Markelle Fultz is a starter. Orlando's record over the last 3 years is 75-151. And so why did you choose this piece to bring up on the show, sir?
Well, I chose this because all season you told me about Markelle's coming, as if we were waiting on December 25th and Santa to come down a chimney. And, we waited, and he finally arrived, and he played really well, and I'm pretty excited about him. And this is a good illustration of what he brings to this team.
Yeah.
In a way, it's the good and the bad. It's the good because, 35-35, that's nice. I like to see this 500 record. That's where we'd like to be. But at the other time, of all the games he's missed, that is the one problem. But as long as he's back and he's healthy, he's the man. He's a future potential all-star. He should be our starting point guard, and nothing proves it better than this.
Yeah. I mean, I think we would all take 500. If you could sign me up for 500 next year,
yes,
I'll sign in blood.
He'll sign in blood?
Yeah, I will sign that in blood, Shaitan. Or if you're out there, I'll make a deal with the devil. I'll play a fiddle, whatever you need me to do to get 500, I'm down. All right. That would be amazing.
We'll talk about the amount of Magic wins next season later. This year they fell just short.
But yeah, I mean, the steadying hand of Markelle was seen very clearly. I think if anyone out there has any trepidation or second thought or question as to who should be our starting point guard next year, I need you to go quickly get some mental health support because I care about you and I want you to be well. All right, because Markelle Fultz is clearly that guy. We've got some other awesome guards that can play off him, around him when he's out of the game, but he is clearly our starter.
Definitely, and the thing I like about him the most when I watch him is he makes the players around him better. Because we have good players on our team this season, but we needed somebody to enhance them.
Yes.
He does that. That's what stars do.
And some of our other guards, hopefully they're not too traumatized because of this next post. All right, because I'm a little worried about Suggs. And
how you doing?
There he is. The most awful bobblehead known to human history.
I actually wrote the company that made this and the Orlando Magic and Jalen Suggs all on Twitter. I tagged them all. I said, Jalen deserves a better bobblehead than this. The construction on this is terrible. The painting is terrible. Somebody needs to be held accountable for this bobblehead. It's one of the worst I've ever seen. And I love Jalen, and we have it right here on the show. But the decals are peeling off, and the painting is terrible. It's awful. Anyway, sorry. Get back to the sucks.
Peach rant. Here we go.
It needed to be done.
It did.
Did it need to be done? He says yes. Thank you.
Yes. All right, so this one is picked out from Cole Anthony's story. I guess Cole Anthony has some bearded dragons or a couple different reptilian friends. And Jalen's not too fond of them. They can be seen climbing on Jalen's stomach until he quickly and vehemently asks his partner to take them off immediately, please.
Let's get it. You got this, Jay.
Where are you going? Now, goes lower.
I think they're not gonna jack each other. They're gonna move.
Hey, get him off. They're about to fight.
You got a minute. They're not fighting.
This one's scratching my chest.
He's good, bro.
Hey, it's jumping, Cole. Get out my face. You
You good, bro?
I got this one, and then you got the one on the left.
They good. Yeah, you got it, bro.
This one's falling. It's
not falling.
It's falling. It's scratching.
Hey,
It's on my neck.
I mean, this is not the way I would want to be introduced to them. I don't think I'd want them crawling on my chest, heading towards my neck and vitals.
Yeah.
So I get it. They did make a couple of moves that kind of would make you be a little nervous. But it's cool to see that these guys are hanging out off the court and that there's that kind of camaraderie there enough that like
that's trust.
He said, hey man, I'm gonna let you put your dragons on me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I trust a lot of other people that much. So you'll love to see that.
There you go. That's the camaraderie we were talking about.
Yeah.
And hope Jalen's not too traumatized to come back in the arena and hang out with Stuff, another dragon, because that could make for a tough work environment.
Yeah, a little different vibe there. Stuff's crawling towards your vitals. I think I think you're feeling a little bit better about that. Maybe a bit weirder.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, we have a couple that are Magic adjacent, shall we say?
Somewhat, but
What do
you
you
know
got
what?
here,
The Magic season is over for the next three of the social media roundup. We're kind of looking a little bit around the NBA, but this one spoke to me because CJ McCollum has become one of my new favorite players.
Yeah.
Because of this tweet that he sent out saying, I will be playing a few minutes tonight before heading to the bench to watch the young boys hoop. Don't take me in your parlays tonight. That's a solid. He's not on the Magic. I'm still giving him a bell. I think that's a solid move. I knew as a bettor, you would appreciate that kind of information from a player.
Yeah.
Isn't it refreshing to even just get some good information like that from a player, period?
It kind of harkens back to last episode's social media roundup with the courtside announcer asking the player directly, just getting it right from the horse's mouth. I mean, CJ McCollum, you're a true hero. Thank you, CJ,
and a great baller. Yeah. So, thanks, CJ.
This one's more Magic adjacent. The Mikal Bridges, and I saw this too. He hasn't missed a game in his NBA career, and he's in his fourth season. I mean, we were just talking about seriously, clap it up, give that man a bell. We were just talking about Franz kind of going for the Iron Man and how disappointing it was, I'm sure, for him to not get there.
Yeah, you could wanted it.
Yeah. And then to see, Mikal Bridges, I did not know this about him. Every single game for 4 years. You do not see that in the NBA anymore.
You don't.
And this guy, and he played his whole college career too, I believe. Right. And he's really, that's something that he carries as a chip on his shoulder. You can tell he wears it as a badge of pride. Yeah. That he is an everyday guy. His best ability right there is availability. And I just respect the hell out of that.
Me too. That's why I pulled this in for no other reason.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about it a long time. Stars resting, this, that, and the other thing. Okay, Mikal Bridges isn't maybe the star on the Suns that needs to take a break, but you think they could give him a day off once in a while since a lot of teams do that. But Mikal's like out there every day. And look, I'm not a Mikal Bridges fan. I've yelled at the man several times while watching basketball games, but mad respect to playing 4 straight seasons. That just doesn't happen anymore.
No, that's amazing.
He might be one of the last to ever do that.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. And to now to Mikal's team, the Phoenix Suns. The last post we have for our social media roundup is from the 2017 status of these 3 playoff teams. The Mavs, the Grizzlies, and the Suns, they were 13th, 14th, and 15th in the West. To now this year, they're 1, 2, and 3 in the West. I mean, that's
at the time.
Yeah, at the time of this. But they're still top tier teams in the West right now.
Yep.
This is quite the turnaround for a 3-year span. Some of these players were on. I think Ja Morant hadn't quite come into the league yet in 2017-18. That was the beginning of their turn. But it just kind of gives us hope, and I think that's why we picked this one out.
That's exactly why I put it in there.
Is we're at the bottom right now.
Yep.
And hopefully this is our best case scenario, that within 2 to 3 seasons we can be, if we can be a top team in the East in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
That would be unbelievable. I'm just hoping that we're a solid playoff team in 2 to 3 years.
Agreed. I mean, this was definitely one of those posts where you realize that the lyric started from the bottom, now we hear. Mm-hmm. It is not just
Look
a
at
lyric.
you.
It is real.
Look at you.
I knew that before moving to Bridgeport.
Okay.
But this is the one that you look at and you go, yeah, there is hope for these teams that are lower. The Rockets, us, the Thunder, we suffered through it this season, but turnarounds can happen. Go ahead and watch those teams in the Western Conference in the playoffs now and get to see what it's like building a team, and then take a look at our core and realize I see similarities there.
Yeah.
So at this point, there's not a lot of Magic news to talk about, but when you look at a post like this, you go, that's going to be us.
Yeah. I mean, the only difference that I'm going to say is that they do have their star, right? So Ja Morant was a Rookie of the Year. Was Luka the Rookie of the Year, or did Trey beat him out for that? I think Luka got the Rookie of the Year that year as well. I don't think Devin Booker won Rookie of the Year, but he came on a little bit late. So that's kind of like what I'm holding out. I'm looking at that Suns model, and I'm like, in year 2 or 3, one of our guys takes that leap like Devin Booker did, and then we got a squad. We add one more. We add our Chris Paul, and let's get it going. Because the Suns, I think we'll talk about in our playoff bracket later, but we probably both have them going pretty deep.
Probably.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. And now, with those aspirations, those visions of grandeur in our mind for our Orlando Magic, let's talk about, quickly if we can, look in the rear view mirror, and we're going to school, Pich. And we're going to give some report cards. I'm the teacher here. I like to tie that in whenever possible. So we're gonna grade our players on their most recent season. Just riff a little bit about them as we do so in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I mean, all year I told you what I learned during games, but you're the teacher, and now we're at the end of this thing, so it's time for that report card.
It's that summative assessment,
final
baby.
grade.
Yep, that final grade. Will you go on, or will you stay back?
You would like to do these final grades maybe a month or 2 from now, but here we are.
This is true. Hopefully in the future it will be. Next season, a few more weeks later for these final grades. All right, so we're going to go in alphabetical order, as I said, as you do on the roll call, in class. So we're going to start with Cole Anthony, sir.
Or Anthony Cole, if it's a true roll call.
True. Cole Cole Anthony?
The hard one pronounced is coming up third. So.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. I can't wait to see the substitute teacher pronounce Ignas Brazdeikis.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah. All right, so Cole Anthony, Pich, what grade did you give Cole?
I gave Cole a B-, and I think that might be a little harsh. But I feel like he's still a leader of this team. He needs to improve that three-point shooting if he's going to do it more, the percentage anyway. And he seemed better at the beginning of the season when there was a little more chaos and nobody had the specific roles and he could chuck it up more. And it seemed like he got in a better offensive groove then. He still needs to improve his defense, but he had a solid season. But a B-, Cole Anthony would not be happy with a B-, and he would be motivated to be like, to stuff it in you and be like, I'm going A next season. So this is partly a motivational grade, but I feel like it's warranted.
Cole's a big watcher of the show. I'm sure he's going to use this as fuel for the fire in the offseason. So I also, unfortunately, Cole did give you a B- as well.
Still above average.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Still a solid mark. I think for some of the reasons, I think he would agree with us, though. I don't think Cole would find any fault in some of this feedback. He wanted to make some improvements on the defensive side. Did not really see that at all this year. Thought at times he was a liability on the court and on the defensive side of the ball. And, maybe if his offense would have stayed, as you said, towards that beginning of the year level, then that defensive lacking, all right, you kind of balance it out. Yep. But we didn't see at the end of the season, looking at his numbers, no market improvement in his three-point shooting from last year. I think it was like 1 or 2%. And he's still like mid-30s, so that's not great. he got like a couple more free throw attempts this year, which is good. Kind of indicates he's going to the hole. He had like 1.5 more drives this year than last year. So that's something. But it wasn't enough to bump it up any more than a B-.
It was a tale of two seasons for him. I
Sure.
feel like the beginning part of the season, he was a completely different player than he was at the end.
Yeah.
I feel like the role he was moving into at the end of the season was much better for him as a player, but maybe not for his stats.
Yeah.
But overall, pretty solid. He's a leader on this team.
Definitely a leader, and I'm excited to see what he brings next year as kind of like maybe a bench scorer, a guy that bridges between the starters and the bench unit.
Yep. Agreed.
Next is Mohamed Bamba. Are you here, sir?
You want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to go with a C-. And the reason I'm giving him a C- is because it's below average. And I believe that he was a below average starting center. And I think that maybe that's unfair because I don't think Mo Bamba is really a starting center, but he was playing that role this year. And so I kind of graded him on and against other starting centers in the league. And so I just don't, I don't see, 15% of our rebound chances as a center. That's not good enough for me.
Right.
Like I need our center pulling down more of our boards than that. And so that was just disappointing. Yeah, he was okay. He was pretty good for three, 38%. But again,
in the first half.
Yeah, true. I think some of those percentages where he had some breakout games buoying that percentage. And, truly if we saw like, if I gave him a consistent average, it probably would have been a little bit lower than that. But the fact that he's only, again, pulling down 15% of our rebounds, a good starting centers pull down 25% of their team's rebounds. So that's just maybe some of my bias, and I think you appreciate this. If you're a center, I want you rebounding the ball, setting good screens, which I still think he has some work to do, and, having some post game. And it's frustrating that the man is over 7 foot tall. Robin Lopez has been on the team the entire year, and he hasn't learned like a nice little bunny hook. Yeah, so that's why I gave him a C-.
Yeah, well, he's Captain Hook, not Dr. Hook, I guess, because he can't make anybody better at it. I gave Mo Bamba a D+. The way I graded pretty much every guy is every guy has a different expectation.
Wow.
I'm not going to grade a starter the same as I would a guy on the bench. But
right.
I think there's a little, is that called grading on a curve? Is that what that is?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So for Mo Bamba, I went with a D+. I know that there's been some nights where he has a good stat night, but like, how many times is Mo Bamba affecting the game? There was only like 2 or 3 where it was like, because of Mo Bamba's play, we were in this game tonight.
That's very true. That's a good
And
point.
that's not a lot of games. There's 82 games in a season, and if only in like 2 or 3 where you're like, if we didn't have Mo Bamba, we wouldn't have won today. Like he needs to be more of an impact player. He needs to be stuffing that sheet more. The 15% rebounds is a great point. I mean, obviously Wendell was taking a lot of boards this year too, but like there should have been a battle there. We talked in the early stages of this show, we talked about which big man was going to win the inside position. Would it be Wendell or Mo Bamba? And we joked all season about how I can't believe we ever thought that was going to be a comparison. Yeah. But it still should be. He has a skill set in there. He can shoot from the outside. There are things there. That's why it's disappointing. So to me, I can't give him a C because that's too close to average. He is below average for what he could bring to the table, for the minutes he can get, and for the position that he plays. So sorry, but not sorry, Mo. You got to step up, man.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens with Mo in this restricted free agency.
A progress report would be sent home. You'd have to get it signed by your parents, and then you'd have to say that you're going to improve things.
Yeah, after school tutoring.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got to do some things. He's got to do some things.
Otherwise, next year you're not going to move on to the next round.
Okay. Okay, Ignas Brazdeikis, sir.
Yes.
I gave Iggy a B. I mean, end of a bench guy. I thought that at first he was maybe a little trepid, like he wasn't really bringing his type of game, which is like very much a driver. He loves to get to the rim. I felt like he was deferring a lot more because he kind of, as many G League guys do when they come up.
Sure.
They're like, oh man, I got to defer to the guys who are on the squad here.
Sure.
And I think that kind of hurt him early on. He
did,
looked a little lost.
Agreed.
But I think as he got more comfortable with the team and he started to build confidence and realized that the guys believed in him, he had a game where he dropped, like 25 or 26, gets to the hoop pretty well. As a lefty, it's kind of a different look than some defenders are used to. Shot the ball pretty damn well from beyond the arc. And, I was really pleased. That Bulls game that we won, I said this is going to be an Iggy game, dropped like 15 or something like that. So he had some really solid performances, and I didn't see any huge glaring weaknesses in his game. I thought for what we needed from him, an end-of-bench guy, solid, B.
I echo most of your sentiments, and you almost talked me out of mine. I gave him a C+ because he's better than average for sure. But I was remembering a lot of that early part of the season where he was trepidation, and definitely loved that last span of games, maybe the last 25 games or so. But that doesn't grade you on the entire season. So I feel good with the C+. I really do like him as a solid bench player, and I feel like as his confidence is growing, you can see that he's a scorer, he's a piece.
Yes.
I don't know if he's going to end up on our team anymore, but somebody's going to enjoy them some Iggy Brazdakis.
Yeah.
And, we did this season, and I think he has a lot of potential there. I love, and the left-handed shot thing, that's something that you don't think about, but it's not nothing.
Yeah. So. Okay. All right. So now Devin Kennedy, his stint on the Magic. What'd you give him, Pich? I'll let you go
I
first.
gave him right on the C.
Okay.
Just right on average. I liked what I saw, but I didn't see enough to really make a full assessment. But I love that he's a good shooter off the bench because, man, I like it when you bring guys off the bench that can give you defense or rebounds or this or that. But, it seems like there's usually always problems scoring off the bench.
Right.
When there would be no problem with scoring from him, from what I've seen so far. And he's going to get a chance to prove himself with the contract that he just got and be able to come back in. So I'm not going too high or too low. Didn't want him to, just right in the middle of the C.
Interesting. You can tell, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there, you do not want to be in Pich's class. He is a tough grader. I think you want to come to the Red Lettuce's class. You want to come to Kyle's class.
Hey, don't be soft on these kids.
No, I know.
Because that's what they're going to
Everyone
make
gets
a soft
trophy,
generation.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You got to earn it.
I think we have the old man chiming in here on the porch. Man, maybe that will insert now into the. So I gave Devin an A.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I know.
You saw enough to give him an A.
I saw, I think he pulled on my heartstrings, and this is real. Sometimes you have that kid in class who's there's just that positive kid, just always participating, very helpful, never a behavior issue, tries real hard, maybe not the most skilled, but you're like, at the end of the quarter, you're like, I'll bump you up a half a grade. I'll give you that extra assignment, a little bonus credit.
This guy's playing favorites over here. This is just because at the G League game, you said congratulations on the engagement, and he said, oh, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
He talked to you,
Yeah.
and that's why he got hired.
No, I think so. Really what it is, again, it's expectations with the role. There was very little expectation of Devin Kennedy when he came up. He only played 5 games, ladies and gentlemen, so you're right, there's not much of a sample size. But the man shot 40% from three-point in those 5 games. And if we could have used something, we can use a sharp shooter, and Devin Kennedy is filling that void, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big skill in the NBA these days.
Okay, Rolo shot 40% over the course of 60 games. When I brought it up, he got
Here
mad. Now Devin Kennedy's getting it.
I think Devin Kennedy shot more threes in those 5 games than Rolo shot all year.
I think he did, yes.
Yeah. But I think what pulled me on the heartstrings and got me to the A is seeing this guy go down with an open leg fracture in his ankle last year and seeing him climb all the way back. We saw him in a G League game. We saw him not even playing, but doing rehab on the off day, working throughout the entire game.
Right.
I think that just pushed me to the A. I think I was giving him maybe a B+, and that pushed him to the A just because I admire how much this guy has fought to get back to his dream. And it's even nice that now he's got a 3-year deal. It was kind of tough to find the details of that, but shout out to Keith Smith, who tweeted about it. It's going to be a minimum contract. It will be limited to 2 years. Let's see. It's a second and third year salaries are the minimum. They're non-guaranteed, and it's a team option in the 3rd year. Okay. So what that means is the player minimum, I looked it up, I'm not sure if he counts as a player with 0 years experience or 1. A player with 0 years is around like $900,000, and 1 year is like $1.4 million. So he should be like right around $1 million for the next season, and then I think it's a team option the next year. So congratulations, Devin Kennedy.
Yeah, if I'm grading the comeback, it's definitely an A. That's the kind of story you love to see. They love to do video packages on it and stuff like that. So I mean, there's no doubting that. That's great.
Okay.
It's excellent.
All right, next. A man after all of our hearts in the Magic community this year, Wendell Carter Jr. If you didn't give him an A, we're going to fight right now.
We're not going to fight.
Okay.
I gave him an A-, an absolute stud, and I think he emerged as our key piece down low for sure. The rebounding and the defense are excellent. He does defend ball handlers a lot better than your average big man, I think.
This is true.
I'm excited to watch him rise. I mean, I gave him the A- because I need there to be some room to grow. I need him to become a guy who's scoring. You know, he ended up finishing with 15 points a game. I feel like next year he could be over 20.
Yeah.
I need him to make that leap to get into the A+ category, but an A- I think is more than I thought I might get out of him at season start. So I'm very pleased with what he brought to the table for sure.
Yeah, 15 and 10. Just the steady hand that we saw, and also, again, the leadership.
Great passer.
Great passer. I mean, we were running the offense through him in the high post there.
And I love it when we do that. That's one of my favorite things that we do on offense.
I think that's great because it takes advantage of some of our other strengths with Franz cutting off that ball and, you know, players coming off screens, getting open shots. So I agree with you. I gave him the A. I do see, you know, sometimes his undersize against other opposing centers is an issue.
Yeah.
He's a good defender, but he sometimes struggled to rebound against dominant opposing centers.
Agreed. Not for lack of trying.
No.
So that goes a long way for me. It's not like you're just realizing, oh, this guy's bigger than me, I'm out.
Yeah.
I mean, he hustles, he hard. I mean, I don't want to grade against a guy because he's not as tall as another dude.
That's fair.
It's kind of you can't make
control
yourself
that.
bigger.
Yeah, he can't control that.
If you could, I think.
And he's
everybody
only,
in the league is 7 feet tall.
23 probably.
Yeah,
he's in his fourth year, so
right.
Probably 23 years old, 24. Don't have that off the top, but the guy's going to get better.
Yeah. I mean, he got better from beginning of the season to end of season. So if he can continue to rise, even if he continue to play at the level he's playing at right at the end of the season, he's a 20 and 10 guy.
Yeah, he was a 20
Solid.
and 10 guy, yeah.
You know what I mean? And to me, his frame is not the same as Mo Bamba, which is why I was so much harder on him, because that's where you'd like that to be. Wendell even shot the ball pretty well from the outside, too.
Yeah, not
I
too
mean, mostly
damn
the
bad,
top
man.
of the key with a three-pointer, but
loves
he
that
has
trail.
it.
Yeah.
You know, so, man, you got to love what you see there. Yeah, if anyone else was grading him and didn't give him an A, we'll both come fight you.
All right, next. And maybe I'm the easy grader. I have Markelle Fultz at an A. Ladies and gentlemen, his per 36 numbers are a shy under 20 points, 19 and a half, 10 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, a true shooting percentage of 52%. You know, a top tier guard is 62%. So if I want to knock him down to an A-, I guess that's my only knock on him. He finished 50% of his shots at the rim, and that's going to improve though. So I do think that we're going to see his true shooting percentage come up if he continues to work on his shot in the offseason from beyond the arc. Then we have a problem in Markelle Fultz, and I mean a good problem. Like the league has a problem,
right?
Because you can tell. I mean, when he got to, I love this phrase, his kill zones or his kill spots.
Yeah.
He's an elbow assassin. I mean,
I don't know why you love that phrase so much. It worries me a little.
I'd never heard it before, and I like the aggressiveness of it. I like that he's thinking about scoring, because I see Markelle as a facilitator, as a guy that makes other people better.
Or can only drive to score.
Yeah, exactly. And I like to hear him thinking about, I'm getting to this mid-range shot, and I'm going to drill it every single time.
Think about the teams in the league currently right now that are top playoff teams. They all have at least one guy that can get to that mid-range game and get you a bucket in the clutch. I'm talking Chris Middleton, even Drew Holiday, if you want to stay with the Bucks. You got Chris Paul.
DeMar DeRozan.
There's a bunch of those guys that can get that.
Jimmy Butler.
That's what you need.
Yep.
That's what this team's been lacking a little bit, and he brings that.
Man.
I gave him a B+.
Oh, my God!
I wanted there to be room to grow, and if you take a look at the stats and numbers and some of this kind of stuff, I feel like he played about as well as you can with some of those minutes. I think if he would have come back a little earlier and gotten past that early rust,
there
sooner,
were some turnovers.
There
in the
definitely
beginning.
could have been some A stuff. I know for a fact if he can play a whole season next year and be healthy, that he's probably going to get an A from me because I can see what he's bringing to the table. But sometimes you give students, I don't know why I'm telling you this, you should know this. Sometimes you give students that you believe are A students a B+ to motivate them to get over the hump. And Markel Fultz is definitely going to be one of those guys.
Wow. Pich enlightening me with his teaching philosophies. This is wonderful, ladies and
you're
gentlemen.
learning stuff right now.
Yeah, oh, my God. All right. Next is RJ Hampton. I give him a B-. I think this would probably be in the A range if it weren't for the outlandish expectations of myself. I mean, more of the Orlando Magic community. The Orlando it's all your fault, ladies and gentlemen. It's all your fault.
Hey, man.
It's all your fault.
Don't,
No. I need to talk to the people out there because there were so many posts about how RJ was going to, explode and be this crazy talent in the NBA. And maybe he can. He's only in his second year.
Yeah.
But those expectations wore on me a little bit. So I expected maybe a little bit more from RJ Hampton.
He's so young.
He is so young. Yeah. So there's so much to grow, but I'm sticking with the B-. Just like you've talked about with a couple players in the totality of the year. Mm-hmm. If I were just grading him from the All-Star break on, he'd be in the A range.
Okay.
But earlier on, it was rocky, to say the least.
Agreed.
We found out that he's not a one guard.
Nope.
The ball handling was unsure, to put it lightly. Not to say that other players like Jalen Suggs has been a little unsure with the Rock as well. We'll get to him in a moment. But he was also a number 5 pick. RJ wasn't. But we did find out that I think RJ is going to be a really very good 2-guard.
Yeah.
I think that he found, he's shooting 41% on his spot-up shots, which is damn good.
Yeah.
And if we're going to be losing a guy like T. Ross or Gary Harris, we need to replace some of their skill set. And I think RJ, as a young guy, can do that. He's killer in the open court, but some of those early season snafus led him to a B- for me.
I have him as a C+ because I was really the first part of the season, I think, dragged this down a little bit. I think at one point I may have had him as a low C or maybe even a D at one point in the season. And I think he worked his way up to that C+ or B-. I don't think that's a crazy grade. He became a very solid bench player. He is very undisciplined at times, like you said. But I think that is a lot of that is a maturity. I think in a way, because our team's so young, it makes us all bond together very well, but it doesn't necessarily help his maturity level.
Yes.
So I feel like you need a little bit more time. He needs more time with like a T. Ross and a Gary Harris and a Robin Lopez than with like maybe Suggs and Cole. Yeah. But I get that they're fun and you'd want to hang out with them, and that's all good.
Yeah.
But I was surprised at how he developed into a 3-point shooter, and his role in the latter part of the season he seemed very comfortable with it. And it was very nice to see him get comfortable with it and play with confidence. And he's got quick hands on defense. Like you said, I think he would be a great replacement if we don't end up bringing back Ross or Harris. I think RJ slots right in there. And he still has a high ceiling that he could reach.
Yeah.
So for now, it's slightly above average for me. So I'd like to see it continue.
All right, next on the roll is Gary Harris. So I have him as a B+. I think it probably would, again, be in the A range if it weren't for the rocky start. 57% true shooting, that is damn good. It felt like anytime this man touched it in the corner, phrasing, that it was going in. Mm-hmm. He was just almost automatic there.
Yes.
I don't know exactly why he didn't play the second most of the end of the season there, probably because the tank was in full effect. And I wonder what those conversations were behind the scenes about why he wasn't playing. And I mean, the other thing is just his defense, his defense. Mm-hmm. For me, I think he was our best, wing defender, our best point defender. And that I think the coaching staff felt that way too, as we saw him most times on the best ball handler on the other team.
Right.
He just has got a really strong IQ. And I hope we don't lose that, because I think a guy like Jalen Suggs coming up behind him has that skill set. And if Gary can kind of elucidate him, on some of the little things that he notices, man, that would be valuable for the future of the team. I just hope to hell we can keep him in a way that works for both parties, although I kind of highly doubt it.
Yeah, I'm a little lower here on Gary. I went with B-. There was definitely a portion of the season where I would say, A- and B+, but it kind of faded off at the end of the season there, and it just kind of, I'm looking at the sum of the whole instead of just the parts, and I think he didn't seem as comfortable with his role later in the year, and then got limited minutes, and it got clunky at the end. You know what I mean? Like, I could have seen myself giving him like a C grade, but I remembered all the great things he did when he got more playing time. And I feel like he's definitely capable of being a much higher player. His defense is fantastic. He was money from that corner spot.
I know.
You could pretty much just start walking the other way.
Yeah.
It was going down. I love that he's a veteran presence on a team where we don't have a ton of them. But I'm not sure if this role was suiting him. I think he liked playing more, being first off the bench or starting. That's when he would play really well. And then he didn't seem to plug and play the other spots very well. And I don't know. I don't think he starts for us next season if we brought back this entire team. So I don't know if he's going to be comfortable in this role for a whole nother season, but that's for him to decide.
I doubt it. That's what I doubt. I like talent. He should be starting on this team.
Yes.
He over Suggs. Sadly, sorry Suggs. Like Markelle and him should be the starting guards, but it's just not going to happen. We need Suggs to get that playing time, and so.
And I think that's why he didn't play a lot at the end of the season, is we wanted to see other guys develop, which makes sense. Maybe they've already.
We didn't want to win.
Maybe they've already planned on not trying to bring back Gary Harris. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Gary, for everything.
Great
season, you brought, Gary. Buddy. Next, Jonathan Isaac.
F. He didn't play. He was an off-court distraction. He couldn't even rehab properly. Honestly, I'd like to see him released.
Wow. I gave him an F.
You can't move up a grade when you fail. So.
Yeah, that's true. I guess he would stay back. That would be.
Gotta stay back.
Yeah.
He stayed back this season.
Yeah, he definitely did.
And he wasn't good at it.
No.
It's like getting expelled and staying home and lighting your neighbor's house on fire. Good job.
That's amazing. Yeah, F didn't play, wrote a book, caused me headaches, caused the team headaches. As you said, was a distraction. I do not want to release him. I want to see this guy back on the court. If he's not on the court for game 1 of the next season, I don't know. Then I could maybe be talked into it. I can't anymore. It would be like 3 seasons at that point.
I mean, he could be a nice guy off the court. I'm sure a lot of the team seems like they get along with him. We don't know him that way, but we don't hear from him. That was our problem all season long, is we're not really hearing from him unless it's something that we all go, ooh, don't say that, or don't go there, don't be a part of that.
I know.
I need some positive spin from him. They should have been doing some feel-good interviews with him to try to get us to stay involved with him. Or I don't think that the organization did anything this season to really make me yearn for the return of Jonathan Isaac as much as I should have, because he's a baller and he can play.
I like that. Yearn for the return. Mm-hmm. There's a trademark for next season. Yearn for the return of Jonathan Isaac. Yeah, and he recently did the longest I've heard him talk about basketball is on the recent interview he did with the Daily Wire, which, whatever opinion you have about it, it's a conservative outlet. That's fine. But it's just like, that's the longest we've heard him talk about basketball this year. Mm-hmm. And you're right. Maybe some of the blame lies with the team, but it's like, man, I would love to have gotten his thoughts on the squad this year, about how he sees himself fitting in when he gets back.
Absolutely.
About, like, Chumo Kiki's development as another 4, Wendell Carter, Mo Bamba, all these kind of big men.
Absolutely.
That would have been great. Something like that.
You got to stay. I mean, he's connected with the team because he's there at practices and he's there on the bench and stuff like that. But why can't we hear from him?
Right.
Why can't we? If I was me and I couldn't play, I'd want to be talking to people about basketball or talking about the team. Like, I'm even a regular contributor, like during the game presentations or something. Rather than talking to like the 4th assistant coach we have that I don't know his name, why don't we talk to Jonathan Isaac, who's played basketball at a high level and knows these guys? Like, there was a lot of options to get him involved and put a better face on him for the fans. And I feel like they maybe a little bit of a swing and the miss on the organization on that one.
Yeah. But maybe it's all in the book. Maybe I should just read the book. All right. This is our boy.
If we read his book, we're going to have to go back and change the grade.
Yeah. Maybe. You don't read. Who the hell are you kidding?
No. Maybe book on tape.
There you go. All right. I'll listen to a book on tape if Robin Lopez reads it.
I don't know. His voice is tough. It's deep. I guess. Yeah, I probably would.
A little gravelly.
If he wrote it, for sure.
Yeah, well, he writes manga. We should get those manga and do a read aloud on the pod. In the dog days of summer when we're looking for when we're pulling at straws here, we can read his manga, which is Japanese comics. For those of you out there who aren't aware,
or sitting over here.
Yeah, or Pich. All right, Robin Lopez. I gave him an A. This is with the heart. Just voting with the heart here, grading with the heart. Classic bits with stuff. He just met my expectations. I expected him to come to Orlando and love the city because of Disney. I expected hilarious bits with stuff. We got those in spades. I felt like he's a perfect vet for this team because he's a fun-loving guy. He can be silly and mess around with the young guys.
Agreed.
But he also has a seriousness about him.
Yes.
And a focus about him that I think is a good thing for the young men to see.
Sure.
So, a little bit of a throwaway grade here. Total end of the bench guy. Not even on the bench, really. Just reclined
on the floor
majestically in front of the bench guy. And for all of that, an A, Robin Lopez.
Yeah, you really agree. You went, I'm grading the player.
Okay.
But you're correct on all the off-court antics that were just a treat.
Yes.
Because some teams don't have any guys with charisma, and it's no fun. But
and
anytime
we needed that this year.
Disney question was coming down, you knew you were getting a straight answer from Rolo. I mean, and that was a lot of fun. I love his interactions with stuff. It is good. I went with a B+, though, because honestly, I was impressed with him as a player.
Yeah.
When he did play, he did big man shit.
Yeah.
He grabbed rebounds, and he did hook shots, and he set picks, and he did what big men do. And I think his presence, even laying on the court, was great. I think he, like you said, it's perfect veteran for a young team like this, a guy that knows how to have fun but can still be serious and has played a lot of ball on a lot of teams. So he has a lot of experience to bring. And I think you wouldn't have even expected that level of, just as a player, you probably didn't expect him to play as well as he did in stretches where he would come into our game. So it's a B+ for me, which is a grade I wouldn't have thought maybe I would give him as a player at the start of the season. But he really earned it, I feel.
Yeah. Love you, Rolo. Thanks, buddy.
And the Stanford guy probably wouldn't be happy with a B+ anyway.
Next on our list is Mr. Chuma Okeke. How do you feel? You go first with Chuma. I'm interested to hear what you have to say here.
I went with a B+ on Chuma.
Okay. Wow.
And I knew you were probably going to go wow on that one.
Wow.
Because I was down on Chuma for a while.
Yes.
But, man, he played really well in the latter part of the season, I think. And some guy, like Cole was really the only one that seemed to excel in the early part of the season with the chaos and not knowing roles and the bench and people in and out because of COVID. And Chuma did pretty well during that stretch too. So he was like not just good after the All-Star break. He was good before it. And he was really grabbing that role. His defense is fantastic.
Yes.
He improved from the three-point line a ton. He's a good first or second guy off the bench for sure for this squad. And everybody says he's super funny. I'd love to see that because he seems super quiet, and I've heard him asked before, like why he's so quiet. But sometimes, and I'm a little bit this way too, if I'm new in a group, I'm kind of quiet, and then when I get to know you, I'm a cut up and I get into it. And I think when it comes to the media, he doesn't know you guys that well. He's not gonna. But the team is a camaraderie, so that if he's the funniest guy on a team that you never hear from, he's probably a good time. But it's a B+ for me. He definitely played a lot better than I thought he was going to. In the beginning stages of games, that's what I thought we were going to get from him. But, man, he emerged.
Yeah, I mean, I gave him a B because, again, like you said, his three-point shooting was really – I know.
That's the only player where I've graded over you. Okay.
That's why I was so surprised because I'm definitely a Chuma Okeke stan, as the kids are saying. I've been a huge proponent of what he brings to the team. And early on, his defense was there. His defense has been there all year.
Always, yeah.
Yeah, but which I just love. I love a guy that's a good defender because you get that every night. That doesn't depend on if you're hot or cold from your shot. It's like you're a good defender.
Right.
And so I love that about him off the jump.
That's how you always get minutes. That's for a while. That's how he got minutes.
Yes, and then he earned those. But he was shooting like dog shit from beyond the arc there for a little while, and it looked like his shot had changed a lot. His guide hand was coming off super.
He wasn't
early.
even confident with it.
No, he had no confidence. But since then, I think he's been probably one of the better three-point shooters on the team.
Agreed.
So if he can, continue to improve in that respect, he was even doing a little bit more off the dribble at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I mean, just a B is a solid grade, above average. I can see Chuma Okeke earning an A- next year, giving him a little motivation here for the offseason.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see if he could do even better than he did this year. I thought he was a guy that we probably had high expectations for that had failed on them, but yeah, I think it's the ship has not sailed on that.
No,
yet.
definitely not. And again, he's only this is going to be his third year under contract, so
Right.
he's really in the same contract year as Cole Anthony,
Right.
which is crazy to me again. All right, next up is the Torch, T. Ross. I gave T. Ross a C-, and that hurts my heart, Pich. Because as we know from one of our first episodes, I was really high on Terrence this year. I thought he was going to be kind of the biggest scoring threat for us. I thought he was going to be more like what Cole Anthony was for us, kind of the volume scorer, a starter maybe even. I didn't know if he was going to be a starter or the sixth man getting starter minutes, but I thought he was going to be getting starter-style minutes. And man, was I wrong. That was far from the truth. Didn't shoot well from beyond the arc at all this year, and just struggled to find any type of consistency.
Yep.
And it was sad to see. And again, he mentioned this early on about some of his back problems. I don't know if some of this stuff is catching up to him or what, but this year was, I'm sure, one that T. Ross wants to put behind him.
Yeah, I went with a D+. He's not consistent. I mean, he came in that one game and scored a ton of points in the fourth quarter. We beat the Knicks, and it was like, what? Like, he's clearly capable. He has the talent. He's been in the league a long time. He should have been one of our stars. I don't know if he should have been our leading scorer, but he should have been in the conversation for being a leading scorer. And at the end of the season, you're looking around like, wait, oh yeah, that's right. Where's T. Ross? How come he's not out there? How come he doesn't play? Obviously, we're in the tank mode. We're probably wanting to see other guys, and I get that. But like, as this team started to find its footing and find who goes where, he seemed to be the odd man out.
He goes on the bench. That's what they.
And if you're, like I said with Mario Hezonja earlier, and I don't, these two players should not really ever be compared except for this. If you're good enough, and if your play is that good enough, they'll find a space for you.
Yes,
they'll find a way to wedge you in there. There's no reason he couldn't have been in the starting lineup. Anyone could.
Yeah,
but you have to play to get there, and his play didn't get him to where I think a lot of them thought or hoped he could be. So that's why I was a little hard with the grade. But
yeah, and that's understandable. I think Terrence Ross would probably agree. I think hopefully this is an apparition, because looking at his stat lines, this is his worst year of his career, really. I mean, maybe outside of his rookie year is only one of the couple years that he scored less points.
This might be the fewest minutes he's played in the season, though.
Yeah, and it's since his rookie year it has been. And it's by far his worst shooting three-point span of his career, year of his career, shooting under 30%, 29% from three-point this year, which is just, that's when you make your money as a three-point shooter essentially in the NBA.
And your nickname's the Torch.
Yeah, that's not good. So hope Terrence Ross bounces back next year and has another good season.
Agreed.
All right, now it's time for the Admiral. We mentioned him earlier on. Admiral Schofield, salute you, sir. I give Admiral a C. I just thought it was kind of like average and what I expected for like a G Leaguer hustle guy, just come in and like get boards. And I think some of my feedback is a little bit of the same for that I gave to Ignis, but I think he's a little bit further behind Ignis.
Yes.
Like I think towards the end of the year, he started to incorporate more of his own game, started to feel a little bit more comfortable shooting from beyond the arc, which is a part of his game. When he goes down to the G League, he'll drop 25, 30 points and shoot from beyond the arc a pretty good percentage. And he just wasn't doing that.
It's kind of crazy to see and hear those stats from him, and you're like, that's not the guy he is when he comes up to the Orlando Magic.
Right.
But yeah, I also gave him a C. His effort is huge. When he comes in, he's going full hog. I think sometimes it's easier for the guys coming off the bench because they know they don't have to worry about getting into foul trouble. Because Admiral sometimes would get in some quick foul trouble. But he's hustling. Needs heart, and that's what you need off the bench. He filled his role perfectly.
Yeah. Next, Jalen Suggs. I'll be interested to see. There he is, bobbling away. See what you gave him. I gave him a C-.
Woo!
Yeah. I think that, again, I think that's maybe some expectations.
Okay.
And I think maybe he was thrust into a role that is very difficult to transition to. A point guard in the NBA is probably the most difficult transition from the college game.
Probably.
Because he was pretty dominant at that role at Gonzaga, and then coming where you're now the low guy on the totem pole again.
Right.
I mean, the biggest thing for me, he's got to develop the outside shot a little bit.
He does.
He doesn't need to be a three-point shooter, but he needs to shoot better than 21.4% like he did this year. That's just not going to get us anywhere.
Right.
And then the other big thing is the turnovers. I mean, 3 turnovers a game. That's not even his per 36. That's in 27 minutes.
Yep.
He's averaging 3 turnovers a game. For a point guard, that's what kind of knocked it down.
Right.
Now, on the defensive side of the ball, he's a monster. That's what we talked about with Chuma. His defensive tenacity is going to continue to earn him minutes, and it should. But I think there's still a lot to be desired from Jalen. I thought for a while when he came back from that first wrist injury or first hand injury that he was driving less precariously, making smarter decisions. But then I saw that habit kind of coming back a little bit again at the end of the season, and that gave me some reason to pause, and probably is what's coloring this C-, because he started really rocky. He had a solid stretch, but then he kind of ended rocky. So maybe I have a little recency bias in here, maybe a little bit of disappointment. But, yeah, he's looking at me and he's shaking no. I'm giving him a C-. Sorry, Jalen.
All right, well, you come over to my side of the table, Jalen, because I gave him a B-.
All right.
I would have liked to have seen him play a whole season, but I think he learned a lot on the bench. I've said that earlier in the show. I feel like he kind of learned some of the other parts of the game, and I feel like he's developing into what we need. You have to have a season like this, I think, sometimes to get to that next level. And I feel like he's still above average. I love his defensive play. I love his hustle. And man, when he has a big play in that game we went to, like when he dunks in DeRozan's face, man, it turns things around.
Yeah.
He pops the jersey. He's proud to be here with the Magic. Like there's a lot that he brings to the game aside from his actual game that I love. It's an intangible that it's hard to measure. But I decided to measure him on this one, and I added it to, and that's why I bumped him up a little bit. I feel like the foundation has been laid for a great NBA player, and I'm ready to see him take the next step.
Okay, now we are going into the brothers from Deutschland. The Court Cousins Germany is taking over now, the show. This is now Court Cousins Germany. Franz Wagner and Moritz Wagner, we give them both A+, yeah. No, just kidding. But Franz Wagner, in all seriousness, I gave him an A. Probably could be an A+. If there's anyone in the class that deserves an A+, he is the high achiever. Definitely, I think, NBA consensus steal of the draft. At an 8 pick, he is consistently in the rookie ladder. He really averaged 15.5 points. Those couple games where he got injured in the first minute of the game, and those go down as a game with 0 points, brought his average down to like 15.2, 15.3. But really averaged 15.5 points, effective field goal percentage over 50%, which is near an elite type of level. Shot 35% from beyond the arc. Apologies for the voice. I'm a little cracked over here. Not crack rock, just my voice is a little crackly. And, just 3 assists a game, 4.5 rebounds. Apologies, Franz. Just the Swiss Army knife, the German Army knife. Cuts like an unbelievable player. Just high IQ, pretty solid defender. This guy is, if we have anyone, we already talked about it last time. You're laughing at my voice.
I'm laughing because we just took a nice break so that you could get your voice back, and then you came back and talked for 10 straight minutes about how great Franz is. Probably the worst person for you to have to grade after just taking a break, because obviously there's so many good things to say about Franz. I also gave him an A. I think he was better than we all expected, which is pleasant and fantastic. And I think he's poised to become a breakout star of that 2021 draft if he's not already. He's definitely not getting the respect around the league that we would like to get him, or that he deserves.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's going to get that eventually. Is he Rookie of the Year? No, they're not going to give it to him, but who cares? He's going to have the last laugh when he's still a great player 2, 3, 4 years from now, making this team become championship caliber as he continues to grow. So
Pich.
I just love what I saw from Franz, and I don't think anybody who watched him play would say anything different. Even a blind person probably could hear enough highlights to know Franz Wagner is the real deal, and it's amazing to have him on our team.
Yeah, and if you want to hear more about that, in the last episode, we rapped poetic about him, so you could check that out too.
Or pretty much any other Orlando Magic podcast would, because
he's been the shining star.
He good.
And last, we're going to his brother Moritz. You take it away. I gave him an A.
I also gave him an A. I love Moritz. I think this is another one of those much better than we expected kind of things. He's an energy guy, a pest. He pisses off guys on the other team. He's got a great outside shot for a big man. His hustle's there. He boards. He plays solid defense. At the end of the year, you look at his stats. If you're looking him up right now, you're like, why are they loving Moritz so much? Well, it's going to show you he scored 9 points a game and only 3.7 boards. But that's a little deceptive because he had a couple of games where he came in and played like a minute or something like that, and then it throws off his whole points per game. If you look at his per 36, it's 21.2 points and 8.7 boards. That is way more than you ever thought you were going to get out of Moritz Wagner when they signed him to bring him on this team. You thought, maybe they're just bringing him in so he feels comfortable with his brother and Franz. The whole thing's worked out. It's been fantastic on every level. My favorite attribute of his is this guy knows how to finish at the rim with authority. The real German hammer.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There are times that most times actually, I preferred him as the Mo that we had on the floor instead of Mo Bamba. I sound like a different person right now. This is crazy.
I'll echo what you're trying to say, I think. If I was going to make a starting lineup for the team right now, I would put Moritz Wagner on there over Mo Bamba. I'd have Wendell at the 5, and I'd let Moritz play the stretch 4 and maybe do a little bit of back and forth with them. Having both Wagners on the court, they both got A's. I think if you take a look back at my grades in particular, the only person that didn't get an A that would be in my starting lineup today is Markel Fultz, and he's a B+, and I think he very easily is going to be an A player going forward. So I have all A's for us in my ideal starting lineup.
So that's it. What do you think of the report card that we gave to the players? Put your grades in the comments and put your takes on what you think, how our players did for this year, and what grade you would give them.
Yeah, is there any grade that really offended you? Do you feel like we were way off base? I feel like we were pretty close. You were a little higher than me on most guys.
You want to be in Kyle's class.
If you want the real skinny, you come to my class, see?
So from the results for our players to the results of the most recent Court Cousins Championship, ladies and gentlemen, it's happened. Pich, you want to tell the people what happened?
I will tell the people what happened. So these were the championship results on the fantastic graphic that I've made here.
Really is gorgeous.
My stats I put in orange, and then yours are in blue, so you can kind of see the categories there and have those all spelled out. Cole Anthony was supposed to shoot 38% or better, you said, and he was 31.5. So
he shot like 40% in the stretch of games before, man.
He had, but he cooled.
Yeah.
Then 106.7 down there was the Magic points per game line that we'd set for the final 12 games, and Kyle took the over, and the result was 104.1. So I won that one, but that's where my winning stopped. I'm going to go ahead and go around counterclockwise on this one, go over to the Markel Fultz one, which confused me for a while, but Fultz got it done. He scored over 10 points in more than 8 games. So
There you go.
He did it easily. He did it just barely, but he did it easily because every game he got in, he was doing the scoring and playing. I thought he might sit a game or two, but he played more games than I thought. That's why I took the under on that one.
Yeah, and I think he probably still would have done that given the choice again. But
Probably.
I think only one of the games that he actually got minutes.
He didn't.
Did he not make
Correct.
that?
Yeah, that's true. So then we did Franz versus Wendell, who will have
Wendell.
I almost made that one German as well. Who will have the higher points per game at the season's end? And the tank really screwed this one up because Wendell was playing at a high level, Franz still playing at a high level, and Franz had a little bit of an advantage going in.
Yep.
And Wendell was catching him, and then they basically were like, "Wendell, you're shutting it down.
You're playing too well."
And then like you say, Franz probably would have ended up with like 15 and a half, maybe more, but he had a couple games where he got pulled early. So you won this one by 0.2.
I know, and I needed Wendell to not play because if he did that.
And then the one that solved it, which kind of was one of the main talking points on the very first show we ever did before the season started, the Magic wins for the season. The line was set at 22.5. I said, I think we're good for at least 23 wins. I felt it in my gut, and I stuck with it all season long. We rode it all the way to the end. And we ended up with 22 wins because the tank was in full effect. That's why I hated it so much. We came up just short. And really, you're the new champion over there because you took the under on our team's amount of wins. I'm totally fine being just 0.5 under because I know if the tank wasn't in effect, the champ would still be here.
Definitely.
But you're the winner, sir.
Thank you.
Enjoy the belt being on that side of the room. It doesn't look as nice over there. You don't have a nice little display for it, but, it's all right.
Okay, the haterade's already coming out. Can I do my little bit now?
You're supposed to roll right into it, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Peach. The belt is back in its rightful place. It's no longer on the porch with the old man. It's time for all those Kyle fans, those red lettuce stands, to stand up and come back to the glory. The belt, baby, is back with the kid. Like our team, I'm young, baby. I'm ready to gun. I'm ready for some spring fun on this handsome face. I got the hair. I got the flair. Woo! And now I've got the hardware. Taking this chip into the summer. Gonna be flexing and suplexing all summer long. Anyone who wants to come and try is gonna have to fight me for this puppy. Peace out, brother.
Oh, that's pretty good. Pretty good. It helps with an audience, doesn't it? Especially one as agreeable as Suggs.
He doesn't really have a choice in that.
Oh, he loves everything.
Yeah. All right. So there it is. The belt will stay back here until either next season or maybe we find something in the interim to bet on, and the belt may change hands. But we do have a new challenge, ladies and gentlemen. We got to put some skin on the line, or in this case, some hair on the line. So what we've decided to do is we're going to do an NBA playoffs pick'em. Peach and I have each made a bracket, and depending on who wins, we'll decide who has to cut the hair. Peach has agreed that if he loses, he will shave the beard. And if I lose, the lettuce will be gone. That's a lot on the line. I have not okayed this with my lady, so this is going to be rocky. I don't know how this will go.
I feel like your hair is going to grow back a lot faster than if I shave this beard down. I look like I'm going to get carted probably everywhere I go again for a while. And,
I can't wait to
a
see
lot
that.
of respect would be lost in the community for a man who has no facial hair anymore. So it feels like a lot more. Your hair is going to grow back.
Yes, this
My
is true.
beard may come back white, and I'm a little worried about it.
Shit.
You had not contemplated that.
Wow, there's a lot on the line for you, Peach. You better hope your bracket doesn't lose. All right, so let's look at the two brackets. You want to start in the East and then go to the West? Just first round. We'll go round by round.
Sure.
First round. So first round in the East, we both the Miami Heat are going to play either the Hawks or the Cavs. We both don't really think it matters.
Nope.
We've both got the Heat moving on.
I will say this. I think the Heat could struggle more than they should with that. I have them in 6, which to me is struggle. If you're the 1 seed, you should be out in 4 or 5.
I also have them in 6.
Okay.
Then it's the Sixers and the Raptors. I think this one could be pretty closer than you. We both have the Sixers winning, but you have it in 5, I have it in 6. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Raptors honestly beat them.
I think Toronto's junk.
Okay.
I think they're way overrated. I was amazed they finished 5th.
All right. No, let us know how you really feel. Jeez. Okay, so then we have the Bucks.
They could win the round because the Sixers are weird too. But
the Sixers are very odd. All right, then we have the Bucks and the Bulls. We both have the Bucks winning in 5. No surprise there. Then the Celtics and the Nets. This one I took pause. I actually originally put the Celtics in.
I did too.
But really. And we both have it going 7 games. So we really were kind of a coin flip on that matchup.
Yeah, I just feel like Kyrie rested, especially against the Celtics. I feel like he's got a lot to play for here than just making it to the next round.
Yeah.
And he's playing at a super high level right now, and he's rested. And I just feel like, man, the Celtics are a really good team. I hate to see him go out in the first round, but this is the draw everyone wanted to avoid in the first round for a reason.
Yeah.
And this could signal some bad things for the Celtics if they don't win this series, but that is pretty probable.
Yeah. All right, Western Conference, first round. We have the Suns versus the Pelicans or the Clippers. We both don't think it really matters.
Nope.
You have them in 4 with a sweep. I gave them a gentleman's sweep with 5.
Yes.
Then we have the Mavs and the Jazz. All right, interesting. This is where we divert here. You have the Mavericks winning in 5. I have the Jazz winning in 6. So that could be where it comes down to the hair a little bit.
Well, there's some other spots I think
there are some other
where
spots
things get weird. But yeah, I think this is. I think there's 3 teams that after this playoff are going to realize, ooh, we don't have it. We need to make some big changes. The Jazz are one of those teams. I think the gentleman's sweep here by the Mavericks makes them realize we ain't ready. We got problems. Time to switch it up.
Yeah, I do like the Mavs. They picked up. Oh, was it Spencer Dinwiddie at the break? I said that he went to the Cavs, but that was Karis LeVert earlier.
Right.
Yeah, I like that they got him. That's a good pickup. Jalen Brunson's been balling, but I just think that the Jazz have a better team. They've been there before, and I think they're going to come out with a win, but we'll see.
I think Luka is going to
step up,
raise up, and maybe single-handedly win this series.
That can always happen. All right, next is Golden State and the Nuggets. We both have Golden State moving on. I have them in 5. You have them in You have them in 5. I have them in 6.
Yeah, the Nuggets are the other team, like I just mentioned, that are going to realize we just don't have it. We don't have the parts here. We need to change some things.
Well, they need Jamal Murray back.
They do. Yeah. They do, and I think that they might just say, "Oh, that's why."
Yeah,
but it's not, because even with Jamal Murray, they're still maybe the 3rd or 4th best team in the conference.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. All right, then next we have the Grizzlies versus the Timberwolves. And I have the Timberwolves moving on in 7, and you have the Grizzlies handling them in a gentleman's sweep at 5. This is where I just kind of took a flyer. I just kind of knew I had to do something a little different here.
Wow. Yeah, the Grizzlies are young, but man, and I know Minnesota's
young though too.
I don't know, man. The Grizzlies are way better than people think they are, and I think that the Grizzlies' little bit of a rise in this playoff is going to be one of the low-key stories of this, because I have them playing Golden State the next round, and that's where things get fun.
All right, so let's go to the next round of the Western Conference then, right from there.
Okay.
You have them playing Golden State. You have Golden State moving on to the Western Conference Finals.
I do. I feel like this is one of those moments where there are teams that are on the rise all the time, but they play that team that has been there and they can't quite get over that hump. This is that over the hump moment. Like the Grizz aren't quite ready to compete with the likes of the Warriors, but they're going to be soon, and you're going to get a taste of it in this one. And that's why it's going to be a hard fought series that may end in 5 or 6 games, but it's going to be a hard fought 5 or 6 games where the Grizzlies make it known, you got to put respect on our name next season, because we are going to do things and we are going to not go away. They're going to be in the playoffs for a long time.
I like that take. And I also have the Golden State Warriors, but beating the Minnesota Timberwolves, moving on to the Western Conference Finals. On the other side of that bracket, or on the same side of that bracket, just above, I have the Suns against the Jazz, and you have the Suns against the Mavericks, but we both have the Suns moving on. I have them moving on in 6. You have them moving on in 5. So you're a little bit higher on the Suns.
Yeah, I just feel like the Suns are going to roll at this point, and I feel like for as good as Dallas played against Utah, the holes in their game will be exposed by the deep Suns.
And moving over to Eastern Conference, I have the Heat against the Sixers. We both have the Heat against the Sixers. I'm sorry, but I have the Heat moving on in 6, and you have the Sixers moving on in 7. See, I just don't believe in the Sixers at all. I think Joel Embiid is a stud, but I think moving away from Seth Curry and getting James Harden instead of Ben Simmons, not that I think Ben Simmons would have made a difference in this, I just think I like the Heat better. Bam Adebayo is going to, I think, neutralize as best as anyone can. Joel Embiid. Jimmy Butler is a dog, and I just love him. He's just a hard worker. He just goes. I think they're a little bit deeper than the Sixers because of what the Sixers lost in the trade. And even though I love Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle, I just think that the Heat and their experience come over the hump.
I think that smart money is probably the way you're saying because it's hard to bet on a James Harden team in the playoffs. But I think the Sixers are going to break through here, and they're going to think that see everybody, we told you if we put these two guys together, it's going to work. Mm-hmm. But it's really only working because you've had to play against the Raptors and the Heat, and I think the Heat are probably arguably one of the worst number 1 seeds I've seen in NBA history.
Wow.
Well, their record is not fantastic. It would have been good for what, 3rd, maybe 4th in the Western Conference. I mean, they don't blow you away. Like, you know what I mean? You just go, they're going to mow through everybody. Yeah. They could legit have trouble in the first round, we've already said. So, I don't know. They're not
they're a little underrated.
I don't feel like
you there.
They probably are.
Yeah.
But they got to prove it.
Oladipo coming back, Kyle Lowry, they got good guard play. I think they're a good team. All right, so the other game on that side of the bracket is the Bucks versus the Nets, and we both have the Bucks moving on. I have a 7-game series. You have a 6-game series. So then I have the Bucks versus the Heat. You have the Bucks versus the Sixers, but neither of it matters to either of us. We have the Bucks moving on in a gentleman's sweep to the finals.
Mm-hmm. I want to go put my Bucks hat on right now.
In the West now, so you have the Suns versus the Golden State Warriors. We both have the Suns versus the Golden State Warriors.
Yep.
In the final, you have the Suns moving on. I have the Warriors.
This could be where the real hair meets the road, so to speak. This is where things are going to get shaky because I definitely think Phoenix is coming out of this. This is the moment where Phoenix takes that step. Yeah. They were there last year, and this is that moment where they cement themselves as we're the big dog in the Western Conference, and we're going to do it by taking out the perennial favorite Golden State Warriors on the big stage. Yeah,
I went back and forth on this. I don't love Golden State's depth at the big man. Like, I don't think they have an answer for DeAndre Ayton, but I also don't think DeAndre Ayton's that good. So,
one can make that argument. He's playing much better this season.
I mean, Jordan Poole is going to be the 6th man, and that guy's playing like a freaking all-star right now. Yeah. So if he stays hot, I like my pick, but I could definitely see me eating my words and the Suns putting on them. So that's going to be a great series if it gets there. We'll see what happens.
I think that could be the decider because we both have the Bucks.
All right.
So that could be where it comes down to.
All right, I got to break the news to my girlfriend now that I may cut my hair. But before we do that, do want to shout out here at the end of the show, Thomas Richard.
Wait a minute.
What?
We've talked all the way to the finals and not discussed who we think is going to win the finals.
Oh, yeah. We shouldn't end the show just yet.
No, probably want to do that last round.
Well, I'm going to have the Bucks win in the finals.
So you have the Bucks winning the finals. I actually have the Suns winning the finals, even though I'm a Bucks fan. I feel like the Suns have been on a mission from the start of the season. And let's be honest, if not for they went out to a 2-0 lead in that series, and if not for a few plays here or there where Giannis stepped up and shut the door, the Suns could have easily been in a 3-0 or won that series in 5 games. Things were close. They were close, and they kind of kept that same core unit together and said, let's just run it back. A lot of teams don't do that anymore, and I love that they did that. And unless Giannis becomes Superman again,
which he will,
and I think he can, and I'd love to see the Bucks win back-to-back, don't get me wrong, but I would pick the Suns.
Okay. All right. Well, can we go to the end of the show now? Should we go now?
Now you can.
Now we go to the end of the show. Okay. End of the show. Before we do, we just want to shout out Thomas Richard 4045, who won our Instagram contest. He was the only person to select Kansas as the winner. Congratulations, sir. You're getting your team sets and the Cole Anthony rookies on your way. Please. Where are you going, Pich? Oh, you're getting there it is. The package is ready.
Ready to go.
So it's on the way, Thomas Richard. Thanks for staying with us this long. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe to the station. Comment down below. Who do you think is going to win the championship this year? What does your bracket look like? Check us out on eBay, where we've been doing a bunch of stuff on Card Cousins. That is another channel that we have where we're doing pack openings, box battles, things of that ilk. If you're a card connoisseur, as we are, you're going to want to check it out. And I think that's all from us, Pich. Thanks for coming.
That's it. That's my line.
Peace.